Making headlines on our broadcast tonight. President Park Geun-hye calls on Korean businesses to do more to diversify export items and make inroads to new markets by taking advantage of the existing free trade deals and MOUs. More Koreans had jobs in April compared to the month before, with more hires in accommodation and retail sectors. But jobless rate for those aged between 15 and 29 peaked to mark the highest ever April figure. And Korean prosecutors are seeking arrest warrants for the ex-CEO of the local unit of Hwee-rhak Bank Heezer over toxic humidifier sterilizers, and Seoul's environment minister offers an apology over legal loopholes. News Center begins right now. It's 9 in Washington, 2 in the afternoon in London, and 10 on a Wednesday evening here in Seoul. Hello and welcome to our viewers all across the globe. You're watching Arirang News Center. Korean businesses want President Park Geun-hye to engage in more summit-level business diplomacy, and President Park wants the nation's industry leaders to make the most out of the lucrative agreements the government has inked, such as the ones from a recent visit to Mexico and Iran. In the end, the president said, brilliant ideas, products and services competing in new markets will drive the economy forward. Song Ji-sun reports.
29 MOUs with Mexico and 66 with Iran. That's how many agreements were signed during President Park Geun-hye's recent summit with the two countries. President Park, speaking at a forum held Wednesday to share the results of her recent overseas trips, encouraged business leaders to explore the new markets now open to them.
새로운 시장을 개척하는 노력이 더욱 강화되어야 하겠습니다. 도행지성이라는 옛말처럼 없던 길을 우리가 먼저 다니면서 만들어 가야 합니다.
Going forward, the government will check on the status of the MOUs to make sure they're fulfilled. The business leaders in attendance asked for more chances to meet with local buyers in new markets.
We need to establish new relations with credible foreign buyers. We need to be provided with a credible database of foreign buyers and match us with business partners.
President Park also made note of the free trade deals Korea has with the world's major economies, saying that they too can boost exports, which, when coupled with Korea's brand value, can appeal to Hallyu or Korean wave fans. In line with their creative economy drive, President Park also encouraged entrepreneurs to venture into markets both at home and abroad, using innovative ideas that can appeal to consumers beyond borders.
어떤 새로운 아이디어를 가지고 기가 막힌 제품, 어디도 따를 수 없는 최고의 제품과 서비스와 또 어떤 시스템을 이렇게 만들고 개발을 한다면 그거는 내수 수출이 따로 없고 국내에서도 그 시장에서 인기를 끌 거고 해외도 그럴 거라고 생각을 합니다.
The Korean leader called on smaller companies and startups to actively participate in overseas business opportunities while emphasizing the potential of new export items in the smart city, e-commerce, and energy-related sectors. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
Well, President Park Geun-hye isn't the only one promoting the economic benefits of newly re-established relations with Iran. Korea's state-run institute says the economic benefits reaped from tapping into the Middle Eastern country will help earn billions of dollars in trade and create hundreds of thousands of new jobs. Arirang's Kim Ji-yeon has more.
There's a solid reason why Korea is welcoming Iran with open arms after international sanctions were lifted from the Persian country. The Korea Economic Research Institute estimates Korean exports to Iran will reach $84.5 billion by 2025. That's a staggering rise, considering that as of 2009, Korea's exports to Iran amounted to less than $4.8 billion a year. Some of the promising sectors that will flourish from trade with Iran include infrastructure and facility construction, automobiles, petrochemicals, mobile phones, and cultural content. In particular, trade volume in the construction sector is estimated to reach $18.5 billion, followed by the automobile sector at $17.6 billion. Trade with Iran is also expected to lead to the creation of some 680,000 new jobs, with most of them in the construction services sector, as new buildings and facilities are stapled to be built in the Middle Eastern nation. But to make the rosy projections come true, the institute stated that Korea needs to increase its foreign direct investment in Iran, which nosedived after Seoul joined the bandwagon of imposing international sanctions on Tehran back in 2011. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Now, Korea's job numbers are out for the month of April, and it's a mixed bunch. The overall unemployment rate fell last month from the month before, but when it comes to those aged between 19 and 25, the young job seekers, that rate remains stubbornly high. Different factors are weighing in. Our Shin Se-min has the latest.
It's a mixed bag for Korea's jobs market in April. Statistics Korea says the country added 252,000 new jobs, bringing the jobless rate down to 3.9% last month. But the number of jobs added has dropped from the previous month, putting the total number of employed at 26.2 million. The climate for young Koreans still looks grim. Statistics Korea says the youth jobless rate in April stood at 10.9%, down from 11.8% the previous month, extending its consecutive drop since February. Still, April's figure is a record high for that month. Cautioning against skepticism, the agency added that the high figures are largely attributed to it being the annual recruitment season, when most graduates take civil service exams and apply for corporate interviews.
The large number of graduates seeking jobs after leaving university pushes up the jobless rate in that age bracket, but it also raises the employment rate as well.
The employment rate of those in the 15 to 29 age bracket rose 0.7 percentage points to 41.8% on year.
The fact that there's movement in the country's job front is a good sign, but that's not enough. With the gap between the employment rate of young Koreans and the jobless figure not showing signs of narrowing anytime soon, it's going to be a long-term struggle for a lot of young people.
Although not yet reflected in April's figures, looking ahead, the country's labor market is likely to hit a higher wall in the coming months. This as the government's push for corporate restructuring is likely to push up the unemployment rate in the shipbuilding and construction industries. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Now, as our Shin Se-min just reported, the job numbers are all the more worrisome because Korea's job market is already poised for some contraction ahead of major corporate restructuring procedures of ailing industries. Our Kim Jung-soo has this follow-up report.
The number of new workers in Korea's manufacturing sector recorded the lowest monthly growth rate since November of 2011. According to Statistics Korea, the number of new workers in the manufacturing sector, which traditionally serves as a steady driving force in the nation's job market growth, increased by only 48,000 people in April. The monthly growth rate for new manufacturing workers has steadily stood over 100,000 people for 23 months straight until March. As the manufacturing industry decreases its demand for Korea's job seekers, the labor market is expected to come to a worrisome freeze, as the job market is expected to shrink even more in the near future due to government-directed restructurings of struggling Korean companies. While economists suggest that the government take preemptive measures to avoid this unfavorable result and stimulate domestic demand, job applicants are already feeling the impact of a worsening job market. Many turn to civil service exams or spend long hours and days searching for companies that look for their specific qualifications.
I'm also preparing for the civil service exam. The job market is getting worse by the day, so I think people prefer being civil servants, mainly because it offers them security. I also know lots of people who are looking at starting their own businesses, so I hope the government addresses their needs as well.
I was preparing for pharmacy school but started job searching in March. I hope companies that value real work experience convert more interns as full-time workers rather than look for part-time employees.
As competition intensifies for the few jobs supplied, it remains to be seen whether the labor market freeze becomes a reality and how the government is planning to solve the problem. Kim Jung-soo, Arirang News.
North Korea's Workers' Party Congress wrapped up with the regime throwing more curveballs at the rest of the world. Continued pursuit of nuclear upgrades while possibly hinting at seeking improved inter-Korean ties. It's raising even more questions than answers. Our Connie Kim looks into the North's infamous contradictory stance.
Concluding its highest political gathering in 36 years, North Korea called for military talks with South Korea, a proposal to which Seoul continues to hold a consistent and hardline stance.
North Korea has not stopped its threat on South Korea during its review of works and discussions during the Congress. Since Pyongyang has not stated giving up on its nuclear weapons, Seoul believes that the proposal is a propaganda attack lacking sincerity.
Pyongyang stated it will push for a peaceful reunification of the two Koreas, but at the same time threatened to mercilessly wipe out all opposition if Seoul opts for war. Contradictions were also made regarding its nuclear weapons program during work briefings and policy revision discussions.
We achieved great success with our first hydrogen bomb test and the launch of the observation satellite Hwangmyeong-4. They raised the dignity and might of North Korea to the highest level.
While hailing the great success of the North's grave nuclear provocations and stating he will pursue his twin economic and nuclear development, the young leader also added that Pyongyang will work to denuclearize the world. And considered to be a hint that the North will continuously pursue its nuclear ambitions, the regime's Korean Central News Agency reported Wednesday that Pyongyang has inevitably come to possess nuclear weapons due to Washington's hostility against the North. Kim Jong-un has sought to solidify his leadership through the rare political convention. But the conflicting statements he has made about the North's inter-Korean policy and its nuclear ambitions are likely to further isolate the regime from the international community. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Well, North Korea appears to be experiencing side effects of its so-called 70-day battle to shore up infrastructure ahead of a major party event. A newly built hydropower plant, which has been touted by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un as one of its major industrial accomplishments, started to leak shortly after its completion last month. And that's according to satellite imagery obtained by Seoul's Yonhap News Agency. The South Korean media reported that North Korea had been hurrying to finish the construction project in the run-up to the rare political gathering. North Korea's first party Congress in 36 years has ended, providing the world with observation points, some surprising, some not so much, in the closely guarded state. Nonetheless, it was a chance to get a glimpse into how the third-generation leader Kim Jong-un plans to run the reclusive state. North Korea's path post-Workers' Party Congress. Well, joining me live in the studio for an in-depth look is Hwee-rhak, Dean of Graduate School of Politics and Leadership at Kookmin University and a longtime North Korea observer. Professor Park, welcome to the program.
Yes, thank you.
Now, although North Korean leader Kim Jong-un donned himself with the title of the chairman of that party, other changes in the party announced during the Workers' Party Congress were not as dramatic as some had anticipated here in the South. Now, I think some analysts here in the South expected more prominence for younger party officials.
I think, as you know, that this Congress was the opening of the Kim Jong-un's era as the leader of North Korea. I think that Kim Jong-un has accomplished lots of things, including development of nuclear weapons, hydrogen bombs, and submarine-launched ballistic missiles. I think he proved himself as a great leader of North Korea. However, I think that Kim Jong-un is very cautious, so I think he decided not to disturb the conventional control structure of North Korea. So he decided to keep the senior leaders of North Korea intact. However, I heard that 70% of the members of the Central Committee of Workers' Party changed. That means that the old guys will disappear, but in the near future, I think the potential leaders have changed, so they could become the new leaders who may be very loyal to Kim Jong-un.
Well, reading the significance of a shifting stance in North Korea's Pyongyang's rhetoric is often very tricky. But some observers have noted that Kim Jong-un made some kind of a gesture for talks with South Korea, or even, he was playing one of his gambits to entice Washington into negotiations over its North Korea's nuclear weapons program. Now, would you agree with that observation?
I think that North Korea's the most important goal is to be recognized as a de facto nuclear state by the world. So I think that North Korea needs to buy some time until the negative kind of opinions of the world society disappear or calm down. So I think North Korea may kind of conduct some kind of initiatives for the South-North relations and even its relationship with the United States. However, I think that South Korea, U.S.'s goal is to denuclearize North Korea, and which North Korea cannot accept. So it is not easy to make any progress of the dialogue. One more thing is that even though North Korea is a nuclear state, North Korea needs to develop intercontinental missile and submarine-launched ballistic missiles which could strike the United States in case of North Korea thinks it's necessary. So to do that, North Korea needs more test file of missiles. If that North Korea conducts that test fires, I think South Korea and the United States cannot kind of allow that, so there could be no kind of possibility of good relationship between two sides.
Right, so no breakthrough, which seems immediate at this point.
Yes, right.
Now, how do you expect North Korea to navigate through this international sanctions being imposed and being seen and felt on the ground in North Korea and pursue its goals from here on forward? Of course, some knowledgeable observers have even hinted at the possibility of detecting signs of an imminent nuclear test even. And of course, others have again noted the ever-growing importance of China's role in all of this.
North Korea already proclaimed it is a nuclear state, so I don't think that North Korea needs another nuclear test unless it develops a real hydrogen bomb. However, I think that North Korea succeeded to have nuclear weapons. It promised to make kind of very prosperous economy. So North Korea's second task is to make the economy very strong. In order to do that, I think that North Korea needs Chinese help. There is no other help North Korea can seek. So I think that North Korea may try to improve the relationship with China. And we heard that Choi Ryong-hae succeeded to be promoted to the higher rank. And Choi Ryong-hae, as we know, that is expert on China. So there could be some kind of Choi Ryong-hae's rule to connect North Korea with China in order to get some assistance for the economic development.
Right, so the rise of North Korea's point man on China to a prominent position. Now, we've also been getting reports out of North Korea that there might be a growing fatigue or, dissatisfaction amongst the North Korean public leading up to this Workers' Party Congress, and that this could threaten regime stability. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that may be the wishful thinking of South Korea and international society. I agree that there could be a very strong fatigue and some kind of complaints among the North Korean people. But there's a strong control mechanisms over the North Korea. We expected some kind of instability in 1990s, just after the death of Kim Il-sung. But since that time, for more than 20 years, there did not happen any kind of turmoil. So I think that North Korea muddled through this kind of complaints and even the fatigue. So there will not be some kind of so-called regime collapse or some kind of very important social instability in North Korea.
All right, Dr. Park Hwee-rhak, thank you indeed for sharing your insights with us tonight.
Yes, my pleasure.
Lawmakers in this country have begun looking into the toxic humidifier sterilizer scandal surrounding the Korean unit of Britain's oxy-record Ben Keezer. The three main political parties do agree on the need for a hearing on the case, but opinions vary on when the hearing should take place. Our parliamentary correspondent Ji Myung-gil has the details.
Environment Minister Yoon Sung-kyu appeared before the Parliamentary Environment and Labor Committee on Wednesday to address the toxic humidifier sterilizer scandal surrounding the Korean unit of British firm Hwee-rhak Benkiser.
The toxic humidifier sterilizer disinfectant case has caused a massive number of deaths, resulting from sales of problematic products and the absence of necessary regulations.
The minister said the government would look into how biocide products that are not authorized for use in other countries came to be sold in Korea. It will also work to verify that other products already on the shelves are safe. A biocide is a chemical substance that can kill living organisms and is found in things like cleaning agents used in the home and insect repellent. The ruling Saenuri Party is pushing for a parliamentary hearing and audit of the companies and government organizations linked to the toxic humidifier disinfectant case, but with one condition.
We should decide on whether to hold a parliamentary hearing after evaluating the progress of the prosecutorial probe. We will negotiate with the opposition parties to fix the schedule.
The opposition parties want to see a hearing held as soon as possible, while the prosecutorial probe is going on.
Although our party is demanding a parliamentary hearing, the government and the ruling Saenuri Party are being hesitant. A hearing is necessary to safeguard the public.
Launching a parliamentary probe into the humidifier disinfectant scandal will be our top priority for the upcoming 20th National Assembly.
The opposition parties also called on the Assembly's fact-finding committee to find out why the prosecution took such a long time to start a probe, when people started filing lawsuits against the company in 2012. In addition, they said the government was responsible for the scandal because of its failure to screen products containing the fatal chemicals. Ji Myung-gil, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, the prosecution has requested arrest warrants for 4 related officials, including the former CEO of Oxy Korea. It's the first such action in 5 years since the British company's humidifier sterilizers have been blamed for numerous deaths and illnesses in this country. Our Lee Min-young has been following up on this story.
The bereaved Korean father who lost his son to a humidifier sterilizer product made by Hwee-rhak Benkiser and who lodged a protest in front of the British firm's London headquarters, returned to Korea and vowed to embark on possible legal actions against the company. At a press conference at Incheon International Airport, Kim Deok-jong expressed his deep frustration.
The CEO flatly refused our request to make a formal apology to the victims and their families and properly compensate them, saying that reiterating the stance he took before is enough.
Kim said he is planning to bring criminal charges against the company in collaboration with Korean prosecutors and civic groups in Denmark, where similar claims have arisen. Kim protested in front of the company's London headquarters last week to demand compensation for the loss of his son, who died in 2009 after battling a respiratory illness he says was linked to Oxy products. Various civic groups as well as lawyers have also declared their intention of having the perpetrators punished, while contending that a punitive damage system should be adopted in Korea.
Punitive damage is widely imposed in other countries like the US and the UK. If Korea also adopts a similar system, companies would be extra cautious about their products, and customers would receive proper compensation when needed.
Meanwhile, an arrest warrant for the perpetrators of the Oxy scandal has been requested for the first time ever since the fatal cases caused by sterilizers became an issue in 2011. 4 will go through suspect interrogations, including former CEO Shin Yeon-woo of Oxy Korea, as well as the seller and manufacturer of the sterilizer Sephu. Shin denied all charges. The government confirmed that over 200 people suffered from lung damage and about 80% of the victims were Oxy users. Lee Min-young, Arirang News.
The floor leaders of Korea's 3 main political parties met this evening to discuss how to wrap up the current 19th Assembly and lay out the blueprint to start the 20th Assembly that begins at the end of this month. Our senior parliamentary correspondent Park Ji-won has more.
The floor leaders of the nation's three main political parties, Chung Jin-seok of the ruling Saenuri Party, Woo Sang-ho of the main opposition Minju Party of Korea, and Park Ji-won of the minor opposition People's Party, as well as the party's deputy floor leaders and chief policymakers, all met together for the first time on Wednesday since they won their respective posts.
The results of the recent general election were strictly in order for the public for us to achieve a politics of cooperation through communications, dialogue, and compromising. I believe the 20th National Assembly should respect that order.
Above all, we aim to open the National Assembly in June as scheduled, ending the old custom of delaying the opening due to disagreements among parties. We will also try and do our best to achieve win-win results while considering the other parties' perspectives.
Following the ardent wishes of the public, we will do our best to make a productive and conscientious parliament that works for the economy. We will always keep cooperation and compromise in our work for the sake of the nation and the people.
During a closed-door meeting, the three parties decided to pass by May 19th, the last plenary session of the 19th Assembly, some of the pending bills that they end up agreeing upon by then. Each party's deputy floor leaders will soon gather together to negotiate on which bills to pass on that day. However, the three political parties haven't decided yet on how to allocate the leadership roles for the 20th National Assembly's 18 standing committees, as well as the most coveted National Assembly Speaker post. While the deputy floor leaders will begin discussions on the positions this week, the Minju Party of Korea, which will hold the largest number of seats in the next assembly, is expected to recommend one of its lawmakers to take the speaker's seat. And if realized, it will be the first time an opposition party member is named a National Assembly Speaker in 14 years. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Barack Obama will become the first U.S. president to visit Hiroshima in Japan later this month, but the White House said he will not apologize for the United States dropping of an atomic bomb on the city at the end of World War II. Now, the decision follows heated debates within the White House. Arirang News' Oh Jung-hee reports.
Peace and security in a world without nuclear weapons. That's what the U.S. President Barack Obama is to reaffirm through his visit to the city of Hiroshima in Japan on the 27th of this month. As the U.S. is the only country to have used nuclear weapons upon another country, it has a special responsibility to lead the world in eliminating them.
The president intends to visit to send a much more forward-looking signal about his ambition for realizing the goal of a planet without nuclear weapons.
This message was also echoed by Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe.
President Obama is going to provide a strong push for achieving a world devoid of nuclear weapons.
Following this year's G7 summit to take place in Japan later this month, President Obama and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will visit Hiroshima to pay tribute to all innocent victims that perished during the final days of World War II in August 1945. Obama's visit has been stirring controversy in and out of the White House, as it could be interpreted as an apology for the nuclear bombing. However, the White House made it clear that this visit is not an apology.
Some people would say that there's no need on part of President Obama to make any kind of visit, make gestures that could even suggest that the United States would be making a sort of a remorseful remark or statement about this.
The experts saw that President Obama is doing what he thinks is important to do before he leaves his term later this year. Obama's visit has also prompted continuous communication between Seoul and Washington, as more than 20,000 Koreans were killed by the Hiroshima bombing, so it remains to be seen how they will be commemorated. Oh Jung-hee, Arirang News.
As hundreds of firefighters and some 24 air tankers battle Canada's massive wildfires, scientists and other experts say prolonged modern droughts and climate change are creating a new perfect storm of superfires and other extreme weather events. Arirang News' Hwang Ho-jun explains.
The Fort McMurray fire has burned through an area about twice the size of Hong Kong and nearly 25% larger than New York City, forcing more than 80,000 local residents to evacuate. Experts in Canada and other countries are pointing to climate change as a major factor, and they predict similar incidents could follow because of global warming. If we take a closer look in recent trends, last year was filled with extreme weather patterns and modern climate records were broken around the world. Along with multiple intense tropical storms in the Pacific and in the Indian Ocean, record-breaking precipitation led to flooding that affected tens of thousands of people across South America, West Africa, and Europe. Extreme heat waves, especially in India and Pakistan, led to thousands of deaths in those countries. And North America experienced an unusually warm year with an extreme drought that ultimately contributed to the conditions that fueled the disastrous wildfire. The World Meteorological Organization says a strong El Niño and human-induced climate change are responsible for the climate extremes. Given that, scientists say the gargantuan wildfire in Canada is just the start of weather extremes and related disasters to come. Calling the Alberta wildfires a train wreck, University of Arizona climate scientist Jonathan Overpeck told the AP it's just one example of how climate change can cause such disasters. Less than a month has passed since the signing of the monumental Paris Climate Agreement, as world leaders came together to tackle global warming. The Paris deal marks a bold step, but the firestorm in Canada shows it will take much more time and effort to address the problem. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
One of Asia's largest broadcasting contents market kicked off in Korea's southeastern port city of Busan today. In its 10th year, the event rolled out the carpet for thousands of participants, with the size and scope growing by the year. Our Lee Ji-won files this report from the venue.
The 10th Busan Contents Market kicked off in Busan on Wednesday, aiming at presenting various media content to and from different parts of the world and boosting joint production and investment in Asia's media market. BCM gathered thousands of producers and broadcasters and buyers at the city's main convention and exhibition center, Bexco. With an expected trade performance of $100 million this year, participants include various sellers and buyers from worldwide renowned production companies, as well as branches of large media groups.
Through the BCM, we aim to connect excellent Korean human resources to Chinese production companies. We are also seeking to promote our Chinese clients' productions and programs abroad.
As one of the biggest broadcasting content market in Asia, the BCM has been consistently highlighted by an increasing number of participants over the past decade. And at this year's installment, about 2,500 sellers and buyers, or 30% more than last year, are expected to participate in this four-day event. Among them is Korea's only public English channel Arirang TV, KBS, which propelled the latest popular Korean TV drama Descendants of the Sun to global fame, and Israeli mass media company Keshet Media Group.
Well, personally, I've been here many times. I think this is my 6th, possibly 7th time here. So I've seen it grow, obviously from quite a small market when I first came into what we see now. And I think that's a reflection of the profile of the event itself. I'm here because of the Asian focus. And like I say, we already have Korean and Chinese content. And we soon hope to extend that. Could be Thailand, could be Indonesia.
In addition to the main event, there are other programs for business matching and project pitching in an effort to further facilitate networking and investment consulting in Asia's media markets. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News, Busan.
Well, absolutely gorgeous weather across the Korean capital today. That's in stark contrast to the dark and rainy weather yesterday. Fickle weather conditions. Let's head straight over to our Lee Ji-hyun at the Weather Center to find out what the weather has in store for us tomorrow. Ji-hyun, I feel like I might jinx this, but picture-perfect day today.
Oh, absolutely. The whole country enjoyed bright sunshine and a picture-perfect day, as you've just said.
So what about tomorrow? Can we expect similar conditions?
Well, tomorrow is going to feel like early summer in most parts of the country, with highs hitting the mid to upper 20s in the afternoon under mostly sunny skies. And what's more, the UV index is forecast to reach high levels in much of the country, including here in Seoul. So for those planning on being outside, don't forget to wear a good amount of sunblock before heading out. And unlike the normal air quality we had today, the western parts of the country will see moderately high levels of fine dust in the morning, including here in Seoul. So on that note, let's move on to tomorrow's temperature readings. Daily low here in Seoul will start out at 12 degrees Celsius. Daegu and Jeju will kick off at 13 degrees Celsius. And as for the daily highs, Seoul will see a high of 26 degrees Celsius, while Daegu will top out at 28. Now, rain is still in the forecast for Sunday, or Teachers' Day here in the nation, and it's likely to linger until Monday morning. That's Korea for you, and here's international weather for viewers around the world.
And that is our broadcast on this Wednesday night. I'm Moon Gan-young. Hope you enjoyed our show tonight. For our viewers in other parts of the world, have a good one. For those of you in Korea and across Asia, a good night from Seoul.